What's going on? This is Watsky, and you are watching Chagua Music. So my kind of trajectory has been that I was a young person in San Francisco who used to do open mics when I was 15 or 16 years old. I saw Def Poetry Jam, which was an HBO show, but also was a Broadway show. Before it went to Broadway, it had a run in San Francisco when I was a freshman in high school. And I went to that show when I was 15, and it just blew my mind. I fell in love with the art form. And so I started entering competitions and doing open mics. And I did that all through high school. And then after I graduated, I finally did every year I did a little better in the national competition for young people to do spoken word. And when I was 19, I won it in New York at the Apollo, and there were scouts from that show, Def Poetry Jam, there. So I got onto the final season of it in 2007 on HBO, and that was my first professional credit, which allowed me to start touring college campuses. So from the time when I was 19 years old until I was, I would say, 24 or something, for 5 years I just toured college campuses out of a rental car, doing student centers and coffee shops, performing to 15 or 20 people hundreds of times in Midwest. I go to Iowa and North Dakota, South Dakota, over and over and over again. Anywhere there was a college, I played liberal arts schools and big schools, and I did 300 or 400 shows. And then all that time I was trying to get my independent music off the ground, and it wasn't until 2011 I had this kind of viral video of me rapping really fast that I started to gain traction online. But I had a whole previous performance life, and I think that gave me a sense of what it took to perform live in uncomfortable circumstances. And so, after that video went viral, I tried to work backwards and really try and build my career in a way that I could be proud of. Instead of trying to repeat that viral success, I just wanted to put out music that I believed in, grind it out playing live shows, and that brings me to today. I've been doing it. It's just our mentality is just chip away a little bit at a time. That's what we've been doing. I mean, I get less nervous than I used to, but I still do have butterflies. It was weird because when I first started performing, I actually was performing to tons of people because the teen poetry slams in the Bay Area brought out 3,000 people to the finals. So even when I was a teenager, I had this experience performing to lots of people, but the thing that was weird was we were performing to these crowds that would cheer wildly for anything we said because we were youth, and they wanted to be supportive. The Bay Area was this really supportive environment that wanted to see you succeed. So I really didn't know what it how demanding and cruel a live audience could be when you're a professional, because I was performing for these crowds that were so supportive right off the bat. So it was kind of a rude awakening when I started having my first professional gigs, and I was like, oh, these people want to be entertained, and I don't entertain them, they're not going to clap for me at the end, So it was just getting a little more confident a little bit at a time, but I was so lucky to have those early supportive audiences that gave me the confidence to know the audience doesn't want to see me fail, and if I go up there confident that they'll support me, I think that helped me be a confident performer. I have a memory of performing at University of South Florida in 2008 at a big basketball arena where for some reason they had me host the show, and there was a bunch of stand-up comedians, and in between their stand-up comedy I did spoken word poetry, which is very serious. I mean, I had jokes sprinkled throughout the poems, but it wasn't funny like a stand-up is, and people weren't, they were drunk, they were there to laugh, and there was a moment in one of the pauses I had in one of my poems where somebody yelled out, can I swear on this channel? Do you want me not to curse? No. They yelled out from the back of the basketball arena, get off the fucking stage! And everyone, there was probably 15,000 people there heard it, and I was just it sucked the air out of me. I was so embarrassed, and but the thing is, then the next day I had probably 300 Facebook requests from all the people at the show who liked what I did, and I beat myself up so much about that. I thought it was a terrible show, but it was just a lesson in even when you think you put on your worst show and it didn't go the way you wanted, you might have won over somebody in that crowd. I had people come to some of my club gigs I did in Jacksonville 6 years later who were I saw you at the University of South Florida in the basketball arena, and I've been following you ever since. It just, you never know when you're winning people over, even if you think it's going badly.
Does that still shock you that you could have fans from I haven't seen you in over 10 years, and you come to a show like, oh, it's probably like a more memory that you've forgotten about.
Yeah. It's funny, you know, how I actually will remember those people though. Like I might not remember everyone's name, but if it's somebody who's been at like 4 or 5 shows and they always wait, like I always do a signing after my shows. I meet everybody. I try and look them in the eye and shake their hand, you know, like I will remember them, and it means a lot. Like, hell yeah, you know, you remember, even if there's one of those people, you know, there's people who tattoo their lyrics on, my lyrics on them and stuff, like, that's gonna stay on them until they're in a casket, you know, like that's a changed life right there, and I've had multiple people like that, so yeah, it's humbling and hard to wrap your mind around, but it's awesome, and it gets you through the moments when you think that it's not gonna get better, you know, when you beat yourself up over a bad show, or like you know, a piece of art that you put out doesn't do as well as you wanted it to, you can remember that you know, you've changed some lives indefinitely, so yeah. In some ways it's harder because you've said a lot of stuff, like you've covered a lot of subject matter that, you know, is really important to you, so it's hard to find new things to write about. So in that way, yeah, you're right, it's harder, but I do think you figure out how to write well. Like, you figure out what it means to write a strong metaphor, and you know that you can do it. You know what feels fresh, you know what rhymes feel like you haven't been there before, and like, so you learn certain tricks that you know is strong writing. But yeah, you're right, in order to try and not be a hack and to come up with new stuff, it is difficult. But I do think in general, writing is like playing an instrument. You reach a certain point of proficiency where you get better at it. Yeah, so my 3 like LPs that went out under my name that are really studio albums are Watsky, which came out in 2009, Cardboard Castles, which came out in 2013, and then I have an upcoming one called All You Can Do, August 12th. So, you know, writing Watsky, I pretty much wanted to reflect where I was at that period of time. Like, I wanted to put out, you know, say you're writing an essay, I wanted to be the thesis statement of like, this is what I am, you listen to this album and you know what I'm all about. So I wanted it to be diverse in terms of the subject matter. I wanted to have serious work, funny work. I wanted to have work that showcased like the quick syllable play stuff that I do, the like very fast stuff, but also have enough like slow storytelling songs so that people knew that that wasn't a gimmick that I wanted to use as a crutch for all my material. And yeah, it was just about like trying to reflect where I was at that point in my life. I think what I learned from that album is like what my fans respond to, you know, what material they really loved and what didn't work as well. But I am very proud of that. You know, I think that that album is really one of the ones I would still hand people of where I was at in that time in my life. I mean, technically we learned a lot about the mixing process, about tracking live instruments. We recorded that in a bedroom in Jamaica Plain in Massachusetts, you know, so like we didn't have access to any high quality studio equipment, but we still tried to make it sound good. But yeah, I mean, every time we put out new material, I've tried to do like a post-mortem breakdown of like, what could I have done better? How can I take my stuff to the next level? I think like in terms of writing hooks, I wasn't very good at that point. Like I didn't know what it meant to write a good melody. So I think that was probably the weakest part of that album, and I've sought to improve that. It's coming out in a month, yeah, like they'll probably hear it a week before that. I'll probably stream the album. I've already put out 2 songs from it, so, you know, if you're interested in going to my YouTube channel, George Watsky, or youtube.com/GWatsky's got 2 of the songs up from it already. And I'm putting out another one in like a week and a half, and then we're just August 12th, yeah.
Are you gonna do the Ed Sheeran thing and just like release a song every single day?
No, I'm not gonna do that. But every like week or so, new song's gonna be coming out. And I do a ton of music videos. Like I love producing videos. Video content is a big part of how I get my work out to people. So there's gonna be like 6 or 7 music videos coming out in relation to the album that I'm just gonna keep rolling out. I have a song called Let's Get High and Watch Planet Earth that I really like. I don't know if any of you guys have watched. It's a BBC nature documentary. And I like to get high and watch Planet Earth. Makes me consider my place in the universe. It's probably going to be one that flops, and like it's not poppy at all, but I think that's like, it reflects my quirky sense of humor, and like, you know, but it's a song about mortality. Like, I love the show Planet Earth, and I think it's a profound show because what you do, like when you're watching it, especially when you smoke weed and watch it, is that you start to relate to the animals. You know, they play like theatrical music, and then you think, they tell you a backstory about this like snow leopard that's like creeping through the mountains and stuff, and then you hear Attenborough talk about how hungry this leopard is and how it hasn't eaten in like 3 weeks, and its ribs are clinging to it, its fur is clinging to its ribs because it's like about to starve to death, and you're like, man, that leopard needs a goddamn meal. Like, I hope that leopard gets some food. And then they cut to like the nest of eggs that the leopard is about to rob, and then the mother that's feeding the like whatever geese or something that the leopard's about to eat. I'm probably using the wrong example for like which animal is preying on which, but basically like they make you relate to the predator and invest in its backstory, and then they make you relate to the prey, and then you're like, oh man, I hope some predator doesn't come up and eat this really cute goose or something, and its flock of eggs, and then you realize that like those two things have to happen. Like, one of them is going to die for the other one to live, and that like really freaks me out, but I love it too, because, you know, you learn that it's what life is brutal, but it's beautiful. You know, like we're all part of the food chain, and I don't know. And so that song is like, it's a silly song about watching a nature show and smoking weed with someone you care about, but it's also a song about like, you know, considering your place in the universe. So that's my favorite song on the album. I mean, YouTube's given me a huge platform that I'm really grateful to have. Like, if I hadn't had the internet and the ability to reach to the specific type of quirky fans that relate to my material, I would probably not have a career in music right now. So I'm really grateful that I came along at a time when like technology was changing to allow me that platform. At the same time, like, I have some issues with the term YouTuber, because Google's a fucking corporation, you know? Like, I don't love Google, like, I don't love YouTube. I love that they've provided this platform, but they're a corporation that's trying to make money, and I think there's something kind of weird about the fact that like this whole group of artists is aligning themselves by name with a corporation that is interested in the bottom line. I mean, I'm sorry if you're an executive working at YouTube and you're hearing this, like, I do appreciate the platform that has been given to me for free, but at the same time, like, you know, and Facebook too, it's like we're using these tools, but these are publicly traded companies that are making billions of dollars, and like, why would if I was a sculptor, why would I name myself after like the brand of clay that I'm using? You know what I mean? Like, so I do love being a part of that community, but it's also a little weird to me and cult-like that you're calling yourself the company that you're putting your work out through. So I don't consider myself a YouTuber in that sense. I consider myself like a video content creator. And I'm glad to have the platform of YouTube. I have a ton of friends who are on it, and I love being a part of the video making community. Like, I do VidCon every year. I'm going to continue to support it. But I think it's important to continue to put out like high quality work on YouTube, and YouTube has started to emphasize putting out a lot of work, because what they want is lots of eyeballs on the videos at all times, and that sometimes means that production value is sacrificed for the sake of like getting lots of hits on quick videos, and that's not what I'm passionate about doing. So yeah, the short answer is I love being a part of the community, but I have some qualms about it. I mean, my New Year's resolution is that I always promise myself and always fail at is to try and live in the present moment. I'm like a real type A personality. Like, I work really hard and I try and always be making sure that I'm progressing in my career and stuff. And so my resolution is always to push back against that side of myself and try and appreciate that I'm on Warped Tour. You know, I'm living my childhood fantasies and like look people in the eye when I talk to them and remember people's first names, just try and like be a better person, you know, so that's it. Man, I loved Seattle. Seattle was a really fun show. Mountain View, my hometown, was a special show. I'd say like Seattle, Mountain View, and Indianapolis have been my favorite shows so far. Mountain View because I expected it to be great, and it was, and it delivered. Seattle because it was just like, you know, we played a late show in the rain and like people showed us super amount of love. And Indy because it was a show we didn't have any expectations for, and it turned out to be great. Like, it was, Midwest is not our stronghold, and they went super hard for us. Playing at home is always really special. Like, I have a lot of pride. I was born and raised in San Francisco. I grew up in the Richmond district. Like, I feel a lot of pride. I live in Los Angeles now, which is considered like a real cardinal sin to be from NorCal and move to SoCal. So I like try and latch on to my Bay Area pride because of that. But yeah, going home's special for me. You know, like I went to school in those neighborhoods. Going back is like really nostalgic for me. And then my childhood friends come to the shows and stuff, and I think that they're proud of where I'm at. I try and you know, show the love back. So yeah, especially, you know, and then my parents come and we get all mushy, and it's awesome. I mean, I don't know yet. Like, I'm gonna get to the end of a long touring phase, and I'm trying to do some stuff that's not career oriented. I've been grinding for a long time. Like, I'm trying to see the world and go to places where it's not like, oh, I'm going because I have a show. I want to do a little bit of living before I turn 30, and just like kind of try and do some stuff that's not about ladder climbing. So I don't know. I'm gonna try and keep putting out work, but I also think it's important for me to work on the parts of myself that aren't about like trying to get ahead. You know, so I'm gonna get through the next touring phase, which will take me into 2015, and then I'm gonna do like a real recalibration of my life, and then figure out what's next.